The fluorescent lights of Chicago O'Hare International Airport flickered, casting a sterile glow over the chaos of Terminal 3. A scream pierced the air, sharp and panicked, as a man in a tailored Navy suit bolted through the crowd, VYing past a family dragging suitcases. His polished shoes skidded on the tile floor, and his leather briefcase swung wildly, nearly clipping a teenager engrossed in her phone. Behind him, a German shepherd, sleek and relentless, tore through the throng, his handler's shouts trailing in the distance. Officer Daniel Harper's heart pounded as he sprinted after his canine partner, Odin, the dog's black and tan form a blur of purpose. Something was wrong, terribly wrong. Odin's focus was unbreakable, his pursuit driven by an instinct Harper had learned to trust implicitly. Whatever that man was carrying, it wasn't just contraband. It was something far worse. The chase had begun minutes earlier, during what should have been a routine patrol. Harper, a 10-year veteran of airport security, had been VYing through the international gates with Odin at his side. The dog's ears were pricked, his nose twitching as he scanned the sea of travelers' business executives tapping on laptops, tourists snapping selfies, and harried parents corralling kids. Harper's dark green uniform was slightly rumpled from a long shift, but his eyes were sharp, trained to catch the smallest anomalies. Odin, a 5-year-old German shepherd with a coat that gleamed under the terminal's harsh lights, moved with the precision of a machine, his every step deliberate. They'd been partners for 3 years, their bond forged through grueling training and countless operations. Harper trusted Odin's senses more than his own. It was near Gate C-17, where a flight to Sao Paulo was boarding, that Odin's VY shifted. The change was subtly slight stiffening of his posture, a more insistent twitch of his nose, but to Harper, it was as loud as a siren. Odin's head swiveled toward a man standing apart from the crowd, his back to the gate's glass wall. He was in his early 50s, with silver-flecked hair and a suit that screamed old money. His leather carry-on and matching duffel sat at his feet, and he was murmuring into a sleek phone, his free hand gesturing with controlled precision. To anyone else, he was just another high-powered executive. But Odin's focus was laser-sharp, his body taut as he angled toward the man's luggage. Harper's gut tightened. This wasn't Odin's usual alert for narcotics or explosives. The dog's VY was different, intense, but restrained, like he was puzzling out something unfamiliar. Harper had seen this only once before, during a training exercise when Odin had fixated on a mock biohazard sample, a substance he hadn't been explicitly trained to detect. The memory sent a chill down Harper's spine. "Easy, boy," he murmured, guiding Odin closer. The man ended his call and glanced up, his eyes meeting Harper's for a fleeting moment. They were cold, calculating, and utterly unreadable. "Good afternoon, sir," Harper said, his voice calm but firm. "I'm Officer Harper with Airport Security. Mind if I ask you a few questions?" The man's lips curved into a practiced smile. "Of course, officer. Julian Navarro, at your VYC." His voice carried a faint accent, polished and cosmopolitan, the kind of tone that belonged in boardrooms or diplomatic circles. He extended a hand, his handshake firm but brief. "I'm catching a flight to Sao Paulo shortly, so I hope this won't take long." Odin, ignoring the exchange, circled Navarro's luggage, his nose working furiously. Harper noted the dog's focus on the duffel, not the carry-on. "Just routine, Mr. Navarro. Where are you headed after Sao Paulo?" "Buenos Aires, then Santiago. I'm a consultant for biotech firms. Meetings, you know how it is." Navarro's tone was smooth, but his eyes flicked to his watch, a subtle tell that didn't escape Harper's notice. "TSA Super VY, Sor." Karen Delgado approached, her radio crackling. "Everything okay, Dan?" she asked, eyeing Navarro's expensive luggage. "My canines showing interest in Mr. Navarro's bags," Harper replied, keeping his voice neutral. "I'd like to do a secondary screening." Navarro's smile tightened. "I've already cleared security, officer. My flight boards in 15 minutes. "It'll be quick," Harper assured him, though Odin's persistent sniffing told him this was anything but routine. Delgado nodded, and they escorted Navarro to a small screening room off the concourse. The space was stark middle table, 2 chairs, a one-way mirror. Navarro placed his bags on the table with exaggerated care, his movements deliberate. The initial search revealed nothing unusual. Tailored shirts, a high-end toiletry kit, a laptop, and a stack of documents in Portuguese and English. Navarro stood with his arms crossed, his impatience thinly veiled. "I trust this satisfies your curiosity," he said, his tone edged with condescension. Delgado, reviewing the items, was about to wave him through when Odin let out a low whine, his gaze locked on the duffel. Harper knelt beside the dog, his hand resting on Odin's flank. The German shepherd's focus hadn't wavered, even after the bag was emptied. "Something's off," Harper said quietly to Delgado. "He's not letting this go." "Officer, this is absurd," Navarro cut in, his voice sharper now. "I'm a businessman, not a smuggler. You're delaying an international flight." Harper ignored him, running his hands along the duffel's interior. The craftsmanship was impeccable Italian leather, reinforced stitching, custom monogramming. But something about the bag's weight felt wrong, too heavy for its contents. Using a penlight, he examined the lining, his fingers probing for inconsistencies. Near the bottom, he felt a faint ridge, barely perceptible. Pressing carefully, he triggered a hidden catch, and a panel slid open, revealing a concealed compartment. Navarro's composure faltered for a split second, a flash of something fear, perhaps crossing his face before he masked it. "That's for securing valuables," he said quickly. "Standard feature in high-end luggage." Harper extracted the contents, 2 USB drives, a slim external hard drive, and a sealed envelope with no markings. Odin's interest intensified, his nose hovering over the items. "And these?" Harper asked, holding up the drives. "Proprietary data," Navarro replied, his voice steady but his hands clenching slightly. "Biotech research. Worth a fortune to my competitors." Delgado frowned, her instincts kicking in. "We'll need to verify this. It'll take a moment." Navarro's eyes darted to the door, a subtle shift that Harper caught. The man was calculating his next move. Before Delgado could radio for backup, Odin's posture changed again, his focus shifting from the bag to Navarro himself. The dog's ears flattened, and a low growl rumbled in his throat. Harper's pulse quickened. Odin was alerting on something on Navarro. "Mr. Navarro, I'm going to need you to step back," Harper said, his tone levying no room for argument. He signaled Odin to stay close, the dog's eyes never levying the businessman. "This is harassment," Navarro snapped, but he complied, his movements stiff. As he shifted, Odin's growl deepened, his nose zeroing in on Navarro's suit jacket. Harper's mind raced. Odin's training included narcotics and explosives, but his behavior suggested something else, something Harper hadn't seen since that biohazard drill years ago. "Karen, call in Hazmat and Homeland," Harper said, his voice low but urgent. "Now." Delgado hesitated, then nodded, reaching for her radio. Navarro's eyes widened, and in that moment, Harper saw the truth. This man wasn't just a smuggler. He was carrying something far more dangerous. The room grew tense as they waited for reinforcements. Navarro's demeanor shifted from indignation to a cold, calculating silence. When Lieutenant Marcus Rivera, Harper's supervisor, arrived with 2 Homeland Security agents and a hazmat specialist named Dr. Sarah Kim, the atmosphere crackled with urgency. "Officer Harper, what view we got?" Rivera asked, his gaze flicking between Navarro and the items on the table. "My canines alerting on Mr. Navarro and his luggage," Harper explained. "Found a hidden compartment with data drives and documents, but Odin's still focused on him. I think there's more." Dr. Kim, already glow-vying up, examined the drives and envelope without touching them. "These could be decoys," she said, her voice calm but focused. "If your dog's this persistent, there's likely something we're missing." Navarro's jaw tightened. "This is a waste of time. I demand to speak with my attorney." Plenty of time for that, said Agent Torres, the lead Homeland Security officer. He turned to Harper. Your dog's got a nose for trouble. We've been tracking Navarro's employer, Helix Biotech, for months. Suspected of developing restricted biological agents under the guise of vaccine research. Harper's stomach dropped. He glanced at Odin, who was now fixated on Navarro's belted sleek leather band with an ornate buckle. The dog's posture had shifted to a specific alert stance, one Harper hadn't seen in years: biohazard detection. Odin had been part of an experimental program before budget cuts shut it down, trained to detect trace biological threats. Harper had assumed those skills had faded, but Odin's focus was undeniable. Mr. Navarro, remove your belt, Harper said, his voice steady despite the adrenaline surging through him. Navarro's eyes narrowed. This is ridiculous. You have no grounds. Now, Torres cut in, his hand resting on his sidearm. With Cybal reluctance, Navarro unbuckled the belt and placed it on the table. Odin's growl intensified, his nose inches from the leather. Dr. Kim, now in full protective gear, examined the belt closely. There's a compartment here, she said, her fingers tracing the buckle. Sophisticated, designed polymer lining, likely to defeat X-ray scanners. She triggered a hidden latch, revealing a small, metallic container no larger than a matchbox. Odin backed away, his posture shifting to a full hazardous materials alert. Harper's heart raced. That's not standard biotech equipment, he said, his voice barely above a whisper. Dr. Kim's expression darkened. This is a biosafety level 4 transport unit, designed for highly pathogenic agents. She turned to Torres. We need a containment unit and a full CBRN team. Now, Navarro's facade crumbled. His eyes darted to the door, and Harper saw the moment he made his decision. Before anyone could react, Navarro shoved Dr. Kim into Rivera and bolted, the door slamming open as he sprinted into the terminal. Stop him, Torres shouted, drawing his weapon. Harper released Odin with a sharp command, find, and the German shepherd shot forward, weaving through the crowded concourse with predatory grace. Harper followed, radioing for backup as the terminal descended into chaos. Navarro was fast, his movements suggesting training beyond that of a corporate executive. He darted through a food court, toppling tables to slow his pursuers. Passengers screamed, scattering as security alerts blared over the PA system. Odin, undeterred, closed the gap, his focus unbreakable. Near a crowded checkpoint, Navarro grabbed a discarded backpack and hurled it toward the scanners, shouting, "Bomb." The panic bought him seconds, but Odin didn't flinch, his training overriding the chaos. With a final burst of speed, Odin launched himself, catching Navarro's arm in a controlled bite. The man stumbled, cursing as he hit the floor. Torres and Harper caught up, restraining Navarro as Odin held his grip until Harper gave the release command. Good boy, Harper panted, checking Odin for injuries. The dog stood tall, unharmed and alert. Back in a secure area, Navarro was handcuffed and under heavy guard. Dr. Kim, now joined by CDC and FBI representatives, analyzed the container from Navarro's belt. Her face was grim as she briefed the team. The container holds a genetically engineered VY-RAL agent, she said. Preliminary tests suggest it's a hybrid of Ebola and a respiratory VY-Rus, designed for aerosol dispersal. Lethality rate could be upwards of 80 fan-tram, with a 3-day asymptomatic transmission window. The room fell silent. A release on an international flight could have sparked a global pandemic, with infected passengers spreading the VY-Rus across continents before symptoms appeared. The data drives, once decrypted, revealed Navarro's role as a courier for a bioterror network planning an attack on a G20 summit in Buenos Aires. The belt container was one of several components, each designed to evade detection. How did your dog know? An FBI agent asked, staring at Odin with a mix of awe and disbelief. Those containers are sealed to contain all traces. Harper knelt beside Odin, running a hand through the dog's fur. He was trained for biodetection years ago, But it's more than that. His senses pick up things we can't micro-leakage, maybe or a Navarro's stress responses. He's one in a million. As night fell over O'Hare, the airport hummed with its usual rhythm, passengers unaware of the crisis averted. In a quiet office, Harper and Odin received a VY sit from TSA Director Laura Bennett and a Homeland Security official. "You and Odin stopped a catastrophe," Bennett said, her voice heavy with gratitude. "We're re-VYVYing the biodetection program, and we want you to lead it." Harper looked at Odin, who lay at his feet, eyes half closed but alert. "He's the real hero," Harper said simply. "I just follow his lead." The next morning, as they resumed their patrol, Harper felt a renewed sense of purpose. Travelers bustled past, oblivious to the unassuming K-9 team that had saved countless lives. At gate C-17, a pilot approached, her eyes bright with gratitude. "I was on that Sao Paulo flight," she said, crouching to offer Odin a gentle pat. "How did he do it?" Harper smiled, watching Odin's steady gaze. "Some things go beyond training. He's not just a doze my partner." As they moved through the terminal, Harper knew that whatever threats lay ahead, he and Odin were ready. Their bond, forged in trust and instinct, was stronger than any technology, a reminder that sometimes the greatest heroes walk on four legs.